Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Music Den. I'm your host, Armando Venditti. Hoping you guys are having a good night and above all else, that you're looking after yourselves and one another. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you to First Cut is the Deepest. Now, with it being Halloween, I thought it would be interesting to make a list of 5 horror movies that, in my very humble opinion, do not need sequels. Now, again, it's common knowledge that when a movie is released, and it is quite successful, that the movie studios will try and turn out a sequel, in some cases, multiple sequels, as much as possible to make as much money as possible. But as I put together this list, I realized that the movies on this list really did not need a sequel. All right. So, coming in at number 5, we have Prom Night, released in 1980. This was a Canadian American production. This tells the story of a group of school friends who collectively share a secret about an accident that happened to one of their school friends. And they decide to keep this secret amongst one another. And everything was going well until the week of senior prom, when they each start receiving menacing phone calls from someone. And everything basically goes to hell when on prom night, each member of the group is systematically killed off. Now, there was a sequel to this made in 1986 called Hello Mary Lou Prom Night 2. The sequel had nothing to do with the original. And it wasn't until around the 2000s when a remake of the original movie Prom Night was released. But personally, to me, the original has always been the best. Okay. Coming in at number 4, we have Black Christmas, released in 1974, directed by Bob Clark, who would go on to make A Christmas Story. In fact, I do believe that Black Christmas was the last horror movie that he ever made. And unfortunately, we would lose Bob Clark in an automobile accident a few years ago, which is quite sad and unfortunate. Black Christmas tells the story of a group of sorority girls who, the week of Christmas, are being taunted by prank phone calls from an individual by the name of Billy. Well, they realize quite late that the phone calls are coming from within the house. Billy is hiding out within the sorority house. He's hiding out in the attic, and he systematically kills off each member of the sorority house. Now, this movie is considered to be a classic in terms of a horror slasher film. This is actually considered to be one of the first slasher films ever done in modern cinema. And it created quite a buzz, and it was quite disturbing to some people. There were 2 remakes done of Black Christmas in 2006 and 2019, both uh, retelling the story and um, focusing in on the backstory of the character of Billy. But to me, I've seen scenes from those movies. They are more graphic. The violence is amped up by 1,000%, and the original just had something about it. I don't know. It's cliche to say that, but there was a nuance about Black Christmas that couldn't be copied. It starred Olivia Hussey, who at that point was um, coming off the success of Romeo and Juliet. And also in the movie with Margot Kidder would go on to star in Amityville Horror and Superman. Uh, Andrea Martin, John Saxon, and Art Hindle. So yeah, Black Christmas to me, the original, by far the best. And I should say, in Prom Night, it starred Jamie Lee Curtis in the main one of the main roles, and Leslie Nielsen as her father. I neglected to say that. Coming in at number 3, we have Carrie, released November 3rd, 1976. Tells a story of a teenage schoolgirl, Carrie White, who is mercilessly taunted by her schoolmates and bullied, and she's very shy, very introverted, and she realizes that she basically has the power of telekinesis. And she's also dealing with an overzealous mother in terms of being very religious. And the schoolmates play the ultimate prank on her on prom night, where when this happens, she exacts her revenge, and basically carnage ensues, and um, you know, people basically feel Carrie's revenge at the end of the film. Now, this movie, when it was released, believe it cost just over $1 million to make, and it brought in something like $37 million at the box office. Was a major success. It wasn't until 1998 that they released a sequel, The Rage Carrie 2, which told the story of Rachel, who was Carrie White's half sister, who inherits the power of telekinesis, and she too is taunted by, basically follows the same storyline as Carrie. Um, there was two direct remakes of or sequels, sorry, of Carrie, or remakes. One done in 2002 and another one done in 2013. The one in 2002 was supposed to be a made-for-TV movie, which apparently was going to turn into a series, but that never developed. And in 2013, you had the remake with Chloe Grace Moretz in the lead role and Julianne Moore as Margaret White. To me, again, Carrie, the original, is by far the supreme version. And I really don't know why they bothered to do the remakes, because with every remake or sequel, less money was made. So, and there was also a off-Broadway play of Carrie starring Betty Buckley, who starred as Miss Collins in the film, in the original film. Coming in at number two, we have Friday the 13th, released in 1980. This movie, directed by and produced by Sean Cunningham, is pr pretty much a ripoff of Halloween from John Carpenter. And when they were writing the script, him and Victor Fleming, I believe his name is Victor Fleming, they basically said, let's rip off Halloween and release the movie. Uh, Tells the story of a group of camp counselors that are opening up a camp at Crystal Lake, sorry. And there's rumors of murders that happened there in the 50s. And they go ahead and open the camp. Well, chaos ensues and people start getting murdered off one by one. And it isn't until the final 30 minutes you realize who the murderer is in the film. Now, this movie, starting in like 1981 throughout the 80s, released basically a sequel every other year. And every sequel got dumber and dumber. Uh, my opinion is that Friday the 13th, the original, is by far the best version of this series. Coming in at number one, we have Halloween, directed by John Carpenter, released in 1978. Considered to be one of the all-time classic horror movies of all time. Basically, John Carpenter looked to Black Christmas as a blueprint for Halloween. He was in talks with Bob Clark about what he was asking Bob Clark, what would you do if you were to do a sequel? How would you do it? And Bob Clark basically told him he'd have the main character, Billy, be put away in an institution and then have him come back and wreak havoc again, when he escapes the institution. So John Carpenter basically took the idea and ran with it. Now, this movie also stars Jamie Lee Curtis, PJ Soles, who at that point was in Carrie. This movie cost a grand total of $325,000 to make. $25,000 of that amount went to Donald Pleasance, who played Dr. Sam Loomis in the movie. Now, this movie has also been, I guess, cursed with sequels. And every other year throughout the 1980s, a sequel was made for Halloween. Um, but for me, the original is by far the superior version of the story. And think about it. You have an individual who his only purpose is to kill and cause destruction, and he doesn't stop, right? So what would you do if you came up against an individual like that? Um, yeah, in my very humble opinion, Halloween, the original, is by far the superior version uh, to all of the movies. So there you have it, guys. First cut is the deepest. And the reason why I called this episode First Cut is the Deepest is the fact that, you know what, you've made a movie that is fantastic. Okay. Whether it be Black Christmas, whether it be Friday the 13th, etc. You've made a movie that is, hands down a fantastic film. Why would you try and duplicate it and, just over and over and over again? I mean, just a little sidebar. Halloween alone, there have been many, many sequels made, different timelines thought up, um, only to have it bomb in on certain ideas for the films. Um, some movies made more than others, made more money than others, sorry, at the box office. But again, you have the original, you made the first cut. Why do you need to make more and try and add to it and improve when really you can't, right? So anyway, there you have it, guys. First cut is the deepest. 5 horror movies that don't need a sequel. So please put down in the comments, down there, down below, your list of horror movies that you feel do not need a sequel. I thought that with it being Halloween, I would just again flip the script and just try and have a little fun with this episode. So again, with it being Halloween, I want to wish you guys have a good night, have a fun night. Don't have too much fun. Be safe and look after yourselves and one another. And I will see you soon with more videos. Again, please click like and subscribe and hit the notification bell to keep yourselves on top of any new content I've got coming up. I've got more movies. Listen to me. I've got more episodes coming up with Jim Brigger, Ken Cheshire, and Bill Schuster, and more ideas for shows on my own. So, yeah, that's it for now. Again, have a good night. Happy Halloween, and please be safe. Bye for now.